beautiful new school. Thanks to principals Don Anastasi and Georgia Musarolas for their hospitality tonight. The first order of business is we're going to have the introduction of colors and followed by the singing of the national anthem. Very nice. Thank you very much. That was a great start to the meeting. We'll now have our recording secretary, Vito Labella, take roll call.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Stowe?
Here.
Jennifer Hugh?
Here.
Elizabeth Chan?
Here.
Vito Labella, present. Maria Brugadas,
Present.
present. Gada Amin,
Here.
Li Ping Jiang,
Here.
thank you. Mei Yun Lin. Mei Yun? She was here for the
Hold on.
business meeting.
Hold on here.
Hello,
Sorry.
no worries. Maya?
Hi.
Maya Rosenblatt?
Here.
Yep, hello, Maya. And Kevin Zhao.
Here.
Thank you, Kevin. All present.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Vito. Next, I would like our translators to introduce themselves. As we do at all of our meetings, we have translation available in Spanish, Arabic, and Mandarin. I would now ask the translators to provide instructions for any participants who would like to join the meeting on one of the language lines. So could our Spanish instructor please introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charlene Montiel, and
with my coworker Jaime Avitia. We will be your interpreters for tonight. The following message is going to be in Spanish. Buenas noches a todos, gracias por estar acá. Mi persona Yailin Montiel y mi colega Jaime Avitia seremos sus intérpretes para esta noche. Si desea llamar a la línea de español, por favor marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número de conferencia 326-342-44 numeral. Le repito, para interpretación en español, marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número de conferencia 326-342-44 numeral. Si desea escuchar el audio en español, pero desea permanecer virtual o en persona en la reunión, por favor recuerde silenciar el micrófono de sus dispositivos y marcar desde su teléfono a la línea de interpretación en español. Nuevamente, el número es 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número de conferencia 326-342-44 numeral. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
This message will be in Arabic. This announcement will be for the Arabic listening audience. السلام عليكم. على راغبين بسماع الترجمة باللغة العربية يرجى الاتصال على رقم 347-966-4114. بعدها إدخال الرمز الداخلي 359-370-215. بعدها الضغط على علامة الشباك. مرة أخرى على راغبين بسماع الترجمة باللغة العربية الاتصال على الرقم 347-966-4114. بعدها الضغط على الرمز الداخلي 359-370-215. بعدها الضغط على علامة الشباك. على مستمعي اللغة العربية يرجى تنصية الصوت وضعكم على الميوت لكي تستطيعوا سماع الترجمة بصورة واضحة. وراغبين بسؤال أي أسئلة سوف نعطيكم الوقت الكافي لسؤال هذه الأسئلة. سوف نقوم بترجمة هذه الأسئلة من اللغة العربية إلى اللغة الإنجليزية. ورد عليكم. شكرا لكم على الاستماع. The Arabic announcement has been completed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mandarin interpreters, please introduce yourselves.
This is Mandarin interpreter Dongfeng. 大家晚上好，今天晚上有需要中文普通话翻译的家长，那么请您拨打电话347-966-4114，然后再输入密码685-315-805加井号键。再重复一遍，有需要中文普通话翻译的家长，请您拨打电话347-966-4114，再输入密码685-315-805加井号键。同时，如果您想看网上的会议，那么请您将电脑和手机同时静音，这样不会影响到会议。谢谢。Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much. The final administrative announcement is how we will allow for public speaking tonight. At the end of the meeting, just before we discuss the resolution on remote learning, there will be a public speaking period. If you would like to sign up to speak during this time period, there are a few ways that you can do that. One, there's a link in the Google chat. Is it on the website as well, Natalia, at this point? And you could also use the link that's on the CEC 20 website using the Google form that you can find there. And finally, if you're dialing in on your phone, you can dial *9. And you can also, if you'd like to speak during the public speaking time, you can just type your name into the chat and say speak, and we will recognize you.
May I do a housekeeping?
Yep, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yep. You said you had one? Oh, yeah, sure.
So you mute now.
Yep.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vito Nobel, I'm the recording secretary, and I'm also trying to quarterback the technical stuff. Unfortunately, the beautiful rendition of the anthem and the colors was not really perceived by the virtual audience. If anybody out there has video of it, please see me after, get my email address, and do the meeting. I will edit it in so that the wonderful kids can get the recognition they deserve. Similarly, if our audience wants to log into the Zoom meeting and watch it, they would be able to do that as well. Just keep your audio off. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Vito. The agenda for tonight is, first order of business is approve the September calendar meeting minutes. Second, we will vote on a new CEC member to fill the currently vacant seat. Then we were supposed to have the Office of District Planning here tonight to do their annual planning presentation. They had to cancel. Both of the presenters are covering schools this week in on the ground support capacities. We will then have a report from District Superintendent. Apparently now he's Dr. David Preto. Congratulations. And then we will have a report of Council President, public speaking, and then one resolution on remote learning. Are there any things that anyone would like to add to the agenda before we get started?
Yeah, read that into the, let's read that. So just add that to like, it can be after, it can be right around public speaking resolutions.
Right before the public speaking.
Yeah, yeah. Go for it, make a motion or something.
Thank you, Steve. Last month, I believe that the council approved a resolution asking for engagement on the gifted and talented process. That did not happen. The mayor announced a program. We, in response to that, issued a press release, and we would like to read that into the minutes, and I need to make a motion to include it into the minutes and do a vote on putting it out. May I have a second?
Seconded.
Second.
All approved?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Okay, make a motion. This motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Steve. Here we go.
So we will add that to the minutes right before public speaking. Or add that to the agenda right before public speaking. Okay. Okay, Natalia, can you share the minutes from last month, please?
Stephanie, you're on mute.
We also have, in addition to Donald DeRosa and Sergei Chuprik from the Controller's Office, we have the district leadership here. In addition to Dr. Preto, who's at the meeting with us online, we have Sylvia Jasinski, Family Support Coordinator, Bill Chin, Family Leadership Coordinator, and Deputy Superintendent Dr. Joseph O'Brien. And we also have UFT representative Tessa Wilson joining us as well. So thank you all for joining us, and thanks to everyone who's here and with us, by the way. Really appreciate it. I'm a big believer in trying to do in person as much as we can. It's difficult times, but we're trying to do our best to stay in touch, people. Okay, vote on CEC candidates. How this is going to work. We're going to, each council member will speak the name of the candidate that they choose. A candidate needs 6 votes to be approved. If no candidate gets 6 votes after the first round, we will have a second round. After that, there's no formal procedure. The council can decide whether to continue or postpone till next month's meeting. Taking the roll call vote, that would fall to you, Natalia, when we get there. And so just to remind everyone online and in the room and at the council, we have 4 candidates. I'm going to say I don't have their full names here. Thank you, sir. Oh, I have their names, but I need Yamin. So our candidates are Yamina Kazadri, Edward Lai, Yunxian Lin, and Xiaoxiang Qi, otherwise goes by Joyce. So Yamina, Edward, Yunxian, and Joyce. So Natalia, could you please conduct the roll call vote?
Okay, Steve Stowe.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a quick comment, and members of the make comments. I like one thing about each candidate. I really like Yamina's idea about being a resource guide for parents. I really like knowledge about working with the city on the community board. I like Yunxian's experience with his son with the IEP, how he was excused from class but had no good remote option. And then I really like Joyce's experience working with her SLT and on her in the CEP at her school in establishing sort of a continuous improvement process. I'm going to vote for Edward. As I said, I really think it's important that we try to get what we can from the city. I'd like his experience working with the city and understanding what it takes. So Edward has my vote.
Anyone else want the?
Hey, Jennifer who?
I'm sorry. Are we doing this vote in the public, or I thought we are going to go to a separate room to do that?
I want to thank all the candidates, but I think Yamina is the best choice for right now, but if there are other vacancies, please, everyone should apply again.
Hi, so although I wasn't present at the meeting, unfortunately, I was able to read the statements and I was really moved by Ed Lai's statement. So he has my vote.
Gara Amin.
Yes.
Okay, we're voting for the next candidate.
Okay.
If you need to come back.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No,
Steve, I think, can I hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Got I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I can't hear you. I'm trying. The voice is the far.
Got it. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I hear you.
Okay. Do you have a vote, Gada, for the CEC member?
Yes. Well,
Gada, do you want me to read the names again one more time?
yes, I vote for Yamina.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you too.
Li Ping Zhang,
I vote to the Joyce.
okay. Mei Yun Lin,
I vote to the Joyce.
say it again.
I vote for Joyce 6.
Okay. Maya Rosenblatt,
Could you please read the names again? I'm so sorry.
Steve, you want to do it?
So the four names, Yamina Kazadri, Edward Lai, Yunqian Lin, and Joyce Shi. So Yamina, Edward, Yunqian, and Joyce.
Edward.
Kevin Zhao,
Joyce Xie.
yeah.
No, it was.
Okay, so 3 for Edward,
3 for Edward, 3 for Joyce.
4 for Yamina. 1, 2, 3.
And that's 10. Yep.
Yeah. And then 3 for Joyce. So no one has won the seat.
We have a second round.
I've seen this movie before.
I'd like to make a motion, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion that the council move to executive session at a later date to discuss this matter further. Is anybody-
Seconded.
Sorry,
Seconded.
do we need to move to a vote, Natalia? Vocal?
Yes. We can vote on your motion.
We do.
We have to, yeah.
You
So
do.
we have to vote on it.
Motion on the floor is to postpone the vote, have a separate council meeting to discuss the candidates and hold the vote at a later meeting.
Hi.
All in favor of adjourning postponing the vote and having further council discussion and the vote on later date? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Anyone opposed? Anyone online?
Agree.
Agree.
Anyone opposed?
Agree.
Agree. Agree.
Okay.
Agree.
So thank you for your patience, candidates. Hang in there. We will get this done. But we will let you know next steps right after this meeting, after tonight. Okay. And just for the officially for the record, the votes, there were 4 votes for Yamina, 3 votes for Joyce, and 3 votes for Edward, and we needed 6 to get a candidate approved. Okay, next order of business is superintendent's report. So, Superintendent, the floor is yours. Are you set up? Everything's
I'm good up there.
good to go? Okay.
Want to share screen, sir? I did. Oh, so I could also share. Yes.
So Superintendent Preda will now make his presentation. He is sharing his screen, so you should see his presentation on your screen momentarily.
Good evening, everybody online and in person. It's good to see everybody. My name is David Prado. I'm the Community Superintendent for District 20. I'd like to start by just wishing all of our families a happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and our schools over the course of the month, beginning actually in mid-September, have been celebrating Hispanic heritage in a variety of ways, including activities outside the classroom and in. This evening I'll address several topics, including the impact of the health and safety policies set forth by the DOE in response to COVID-19, including the vaccination mandate. I will speak to our updated attendance percentages, the release of our social emotional screeners through Strong Resilient NYC. I'll speak briefly about support that our schools are receiving in ELA and math coaching through the Brooklyn South Instructional Leads. I'll mention the emergency broadband benefit as a reminder, speak to our principal and instructional leadership team professional learning series, supporting our District 20 SEAL theory of action, the announcement of Brilliant NYC, and the New York City college savings program known as New York City Rise. So first, I'll just speak briefly to the school visits. So myself, Dr. O'Brien, and Sean McLean from my office have all been visiting schools across the district with a focus on ensuring schools have the proper supports and resources to maintain health and safety policies and guidelines for social distancing, ventilation, PPE, all of the various requirements in order to make sure that our children are safe and operating within the policies set forth by the DOE and Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. We've also been ensuring that schools are receiving support in response to the vaccination mandate and the staffing implications that may have impacted some of our schools based on the vaccination mandate. District 20's attendance percentage, this was something that was requested, so I'm just giving an update on the percentage. Our district percentage sits at 91%. District-wide, that is tied for first in the city with 2 other districts in the city. Compared to last year, at the same time, our district had an attendance percentage of 94%. Through Brooklyn South, I'll just speak to this briefly, we've been able to work with 2 of our instructional leads, one who works as a literacy expert and one who works as a math expert, and these 2 coaches will be supporting 4 of our schools directly, as well as all schools across the district to support our larger initiatives in ELA and math. Just want to remind folks that there is an emergency broadband benefit out there for all families. All families do have the opportunity to receive support in getting wireless and internet access in their homes through the emergency broadband benefit. If there's any need for information, you can reach out to your school's parent coordinator or principal to get information about how to get connected to the emergency broadband benefit and get access to internet in your home. And then the other pieces I have slides for. So first I want to speak to the SEL screening that will commence shortly in all New York City DOE schools, including District 20. It's an initiative known as Strong Resilient NYC, and it is a universal social emotional learning screener. The name of it is the Devereaux Student Strengths Assessment, or DESA. It's by a company called Aperture. It's an assessment that has been used by many schools in the Urban Assembly network within the New York City DOE. It's aligned to the CASTLE framework, which is a well-known framework for social emotional competencies. The screener includes questions about social emotional learning functioning areas, including decision-making, relationship building, confidence, and other such. There's a total of 8 different components, and staff respond to these questions to provide an initial screen. It's administered by school staff, in most cases by the child's teacher. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to complete. The data that's gathered is utilized to identify student strengths. It's one of the big pieces around the DESA screener is that it's a strengths-based screener. It's looking to identify assets that children have and also to support identifying social emotional areas that students could use development in. The data is not included or factored into report cards. It's not factored into grades, nor is it used to make any diagnostic or evaluation decisions. The data will be stored securely in an online portal. It will only be viewable by the child's teacher, the principal, and select staff. So for example, a guidance counselor or social worker, someone who the principal would designate. And finally, the screener can be discussed with your child's teacher during parent-teacher conferences. There will be more information coming, but it was announced and schools are beginning the process of training their staff in the social emotional learning screener, and you should expect to receive more information over the next month regarding the implementation of the screener. Next, I've mentioned this before, but thinking about our District 20 SEAL theory of action, SEAL is aligned to the Chancellor's commitment on accelerated learning, which is a combination of social emotional learning and academic learning in the classroom, whereas prior these two components have been thought of as parallel approaches. This year we're all being tasked, and I'm making central to our approach the integration of social emotional and academic learning. So just as an update, what this will look like for the immediate and beginning next week will be monthly meetings of professional learning that will include all principals in the district and their instructional leadership teams. So all principals will come with 3 of their staff to support capacity building and an implementation of SEAL. And the goal is really to establish a shared vision of what SEAL is in an approach with CRSE implementation at the classroom level through unit and lesson planning with teacher teams, the ILT, and the principal. It's really looking to align 2 frameworks for implementation across the school, the HRL framework, which I'll describe, and the hallmarks for advanced literacies. And both of these in tandem can support social emotional and academic learning in this year. So the HRL framework is constituted of 4 pursuits, which promote asset-based teaching approaches. One is identity, the second is skills, the third is intellect, most usually referred to as content, but can be applied to a lot of other ideas, and then the idea of criticality, which is usually attributed to the general phrase of higher order thinking, but through this framework, we're going to support teachers, ILTs, and principals on being more specific in how to implement these pieces in their lesson and unit planning over the course of this year and beyond. And the academic learning component being the hallmarks of advanced literacies, which is through Noni Lasso's research that has been embedded into the New York City DOE's instructional leadership framework over the last couple of years. But those hallmarks include teaching and ensuring that over the course of the entire period in school day, children are exposed to a variety of texts featuring big ideas and rich content, engaging in talk or discussions to build language and knowledge, engaging in extended writing as platforms for language and knowledge building, engaging in the study of high utility vocabulary needed to master language and content, and then engaging students in school-wide protocols to support reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Next, I just want to address the announcement that happened over the weekend, which is the impact of the Gifted and Talented programming and being known right now as Brilliant NYC. This has been described as the promotion of accelerated instruction and DOE investment in kindergarten teacher training beginning in fall 2022. This training including PBL or project-based learning, group work, the expansion of enrichment activities and opportunities, and theme-based instruction. It's being described so far as a phase-in process for grades 1 to 3, universal screening of all children for accelerated instruction in grade 2. There will be no interruption to current G&T student programming, and family community engagement, which will include community conversations in all 32 districts through the months of October and November. And I am in conversation and working with the central team to identify dates for the community engagement in District 20, and I'll be following up with Community Education Council and all families in District 20 with dates shortly, either in October or November, for those community engagement with myself as well as the central team. And then finally, I'd like to mention and briefly describe New York City Kids Rise, which is the Save for College program that the DOE has launched, and our District 20 kindergarten students will participate in. And what New York City Kids Rise is a savings program for college that will involve all kindergarten students being awarded scholarships. So this is a scholarships and savings program that provides families, schools, and communities with a way to work together to invest in children's futures. This is available to kindergarten students, no matter the family's income or immigration status. It is every single kindergarten student in the district. And to get started, all D20 kindergarten students will be automatically enrolled in this program and receive a New York City scholarship account through a 529 program with a free $100 initial deposit from NYC Kids Rise. Parent coordinator, there's also will be a future opportunity for creation of a savings account, but this is separate from the 529 account creation. All kindergarten students in the district will have a 529 account begun from them and $100 deposited into it. Parent coordinators have begun outreach to families in the communities regarding the program, and there's more information to come. There is a website that describes all this information, and we're really excited to support the program. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, David. So now we'll have opportunity for council members to ask questions of Superintendent Preto. First one, I wanted to ask about staffing, and with the new mandate that all teachers and staff be vaccinated, what do the numbers look like in D20? What's the percentage that have been placed on leave? What are the raw numbers? Who's filling those positions? Is it a challenge?
Flip it and turn it and soft, right? And then they rely on rain to fall, and then they plan.
The vaccination mandate has impacted schools in our district and schools citywide. I cannot give specific information about schools. I don't have it off the top of my head, the percentages. It differs from school to school. We are supporting schools, and principals have been working overtime, ensuring that their schools are staffed, and their staffing has been a combination of central based Sorry. And we continue to work with the principals and the Office of Teacher Recruitment and Quality, as well as all the human resources administrators and directors through the Division of Human Capital to support both the short-term needs that schools have as well as the longer-term needs. I know that there's a lot of questions, especially for families who have their children in a classroom with a substitute teacher, and they're not sure if that teacher is going to be the teacher for the rest of the year. And I, as a parent in the New York City Department of Education with a child in elementary school and a child in middle school, and being peers with many of my children's classmates, I know that this is a real concern. And I want to make sure that you all know that we are working overtime within the resources that we have in order to identify the best candidates to work with your children, not just in the short term, but also for the long term. I know that this is not an ideal situation for folks who are working with a teacher who is new to your child's life and to your principal's life, but we are really working hard, and principals are being very thoughtful and strategic with not just the placement of the staff that they have in their schools, but also providing these folks with training on how to best support your children. So.
But you don't have a percentage for the District 20 percentage?
No, I don't have one off the top of my head. I can definitely gather the information and be able to provide.
The city is always talking up, I think it's 5 or even higher now, teachers, if I'm not mistaken, 95% or 98% maybe. Okay.
Just in particular,
students'
learning
disabilities are especially affected by
losing
their parents, losing a speech therapist.
Is the district tracking,
is the district tracking
with disabilities and sort of tracking those services that they're, even if it's just temporary right now,
tracking the services that
tracking the services,
even if it's just temporary right now, tracking the services that are being missed because of this sort of staffing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, it keeps, I don't know why it keeps muting.
So people have to really just take a moment before they do a self-sound check. Okay? So before you speak, look to make sure that you're unmuted on the screen and use both the microphone, and everyone else needs to cooperate. When someone else is speaking, they need to mute themselves. And Natalia, if you see that, just mute whoever's not speaking. And I just got kicked out.
Apologize for the audible challenges we're having. Hopefully everyone online can hear me, but please keep posting in the chat.
Please keep posting in the chat if you cannot.
Do any other council members want to ask questions? I have more, but I have to see the floor.
Happy to see the floor.
Okay. I understand a question from Council Member Marie Brugueras in the chat. Find it.
I think it was about the New York City Rise program.
If anyone can see it, they can read it.
Maria, I think your question was about the New York City Rise program and children older than kindergartners getting the $100. So the program is being launched this year in District 20 with kindergartners only. Kindergartners will have these accounts started for them by the by New York City Rise.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council members want to ask questions?
Please.
I want to ask, are we going to be able to view the screeners, the DESA, the parents?
That's a good question. Like see the actual assessment itself?
Yeah.
I'll find out. Yeah, I can find out about that. It was just announced, and schools are currently identifying staff who are going to then get trained. But that's definitely something I can find out and be able to provide to the council. What we definitely can do immediately is provide, they have set up the website, and it does contain, I looked at it today, it contains a lot of information about the screener itself, including the categories. I only mentioned 3 of them. It does mention all of the different categories that they ask questions on. I didn't see that it included the questions themselves, but it did include all of the categories. So I'll get the link to that website and then see if we can get the screener questions for the council and for families.
David, I'm trying to sit back, maybe that'll help echo. This idea of parent engagement on G&T reform. I think we all have our opinions on it. Do you think it's going to be useful sitting down with you in November?
Do I think it'll be useful? Yes, I think it'll be useful.
I'm skeptical. Convince me otherwise. I'm skeptical. Convince me otherwise.
I think that it's important for the community to make sure that that the central folks and me as well are aware of the concerns that are coming up. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions about specifics as they're related to how the Brilliant NYC program is being rolled out, to make sure that it's very clear about to what extent the concerns match up to what the intent and the implementation of the program will be, as well as to be able to see where the disconnect lies, so that, moving forward after the community engagement, that the council and everybody in the community is clear and has a shared understanding of what the intent and the plan for the program is, and how that aligns, or to what extent that does not align with the understandings and the demands and expectations of programming for children would be moving forward. I think in that respect, it's definitely worthwhile.
Is this something that could be? This has always been. I think in theory it sounds good to say everything should be sort of depending on what the community wants, these needs are. The DOE tends to be more centralized. Is there opportunity to actually change, actually customize this program for, say, for District 20? District 20, right? For District 20, District 20, right? For another district, and that's fine. Again, I'm skeptical. I think that would be the value of sitting down with them. But I'm just skeptical that that's what they're doing. I think they're just doing this because they have to, and they're going to check off the box. But do you think there's any opportunity to actually modify the program, sort of based on District 20 parents, what District 20 parents want?
That's a good question. The short answer is I think it would also. Caught myself.
Superintendent, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I would like to state for the record that I believe many of the parents in District 20, many of the parents across the city want a standalone option for their children. So it's just a question of how we populate that. But I would like to, at this point, I'd like to advocate for a standalone option starting in kindergarten that can be populated with teacher recommendations or some other manner, which we could talk about, with on-ramps throughout the elementary schools so that we can accommodate the children in a standalone, advanced, enriched curriculum that the parents of the district and the city want. David, thank you very much.
I'm just seeing, on the technical side here, I'm seeing more comments make sure everyone in the room, I'm muted right now as I'm saying this, but everyone in the room, make sure that if you're not speaking to Okay. 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 We apologize to everyone online. Okay. Any other questions for Superintendent Prato at this point? Good. Okay. Can someone, I'm about to just make some comments, and so I want to make sure that I'm audible. Can someone online, Steve Weiser, Kevin, Marie? I'm good. Okay, thanks, Yamina. Thanks.
Yeah, good now.
So for President's report, I just want to comment on a few things that we've been working on. One initiative that we need to get going on, and we've sent out the initial emails, and for any principals who are online or at the meeting, we are going to start doing our liaison outreach program where different council members each have a school assigned to them. They make a point of contacting their respective school and scheduling a time to either join the SLT meeting, speak to the principal individually, PTA meeting. So please look out for an email from a council member. And for the council members I know a lot of us have not done this before. There are some translation issues. We can work through all of that. And we can also do these meetings with multiple council members too. So that's something I want to try and get moving in the next few months. Last Tuesday, I had a sort of an interesting hearing. I took the day, I was working and doing CEC same time, but I went to the State Senate Joint Committee hearing on education funding. And it was held in New York, and it was a number of senators were there, John Liu, Shelley Mayer, Robert Jackson. And the conversation was pretty wide ranging. It was covered a lot of topics, and I won't get into a ton of detail, but I was able to get on the agenda to speak. There were 7 different panels, and I was there obviously representing District 20. And my main point, the focus of the meeting was about how state and federal aid is being spent in schools. And I've heard from a few schools about how they're spending the increased funding this year, kind of a range of programs, additional academic intervention services, for example, social emotional screeners, supplemental online programming from the same company that makes the iReady assessments, things of that nature. The consensus I've heard from the few schools I've talked to is that it's sort of too early to say the impact this money is having, but that's what the senators were interested in. And then secondarily, my main point was there's $7 billion coming to New York City. Something like $4 billion is directly related to pandemic recovery. Something like $3 billion is for new programs. And chief among them is 3K for all, pre-K for all. I love the idea of pre-K for all. I also made the request that, and I've been asking the DOE about this for months through various different channels. Why can't this funding be used for school construction? Because as everyone knows, in District 20, a lot of our schools are very crowded. And the senators unanimously agreed that it can be. It's the DOE that is, they have a published plan on how they're going to spend the money, which is fine. But I'm just curious to know if there's any room there to reallocate some funding for school construction, especially for overcrowded districts like ours. And so there's more work to be done there. I was encouraged, Senator Jackson in particular, encouraged us to get the community involved, do all the usual outreach to elected officials, community members. And so that's something we're going to work on, try to work on in the future. There were a number of other topics with a lot of discussion about class size. And UFT head Michael Mulgrew was there. He, of course, was advocating for lowering class sizes. His, one figure he put out is that there's room to lower class sizes in 400 schools across the system right now if they wanted to. And there was a lot of discussion with the Senate. I think last year there was a bill in the Senate to mandate lower class sizes by like 2026 or something. And so there was discussion about whether that should be brought up again. Mayoral control also came up. And this is something I want the CEC to take a position on. And I would like to have a public forum on this as well, because in June of 2022, mayoral control is up for renewal, and that's up to the state legislature. But I think it's really in our interest to formulate positions, and I think it's unanimous. There was another CEC member there and two others, and all three of us unanimously agreed, mayoral control has got to be reformed, which is easy to agree on, but how? And so, again, we welcome any comments on this. I'd really like to hear feedback from community members, from especially people in the schools, teachers, administrators on this issue, because I think it's really important. And like I say, it's a June of 2022 deadline. There was a sort of a somewhat heated back and forth about attendance. Senator Liu really criticized the DOE for not publishing numbers on how many students are not in school and not accounted for. At the time, the current attendance rate last week was 88%. Lou estimated that was 140,000 missing students. The DOE took issue with that, but couldn't give their own number. Remote option was mentioned. The gifted and talented program, again, Senator Liu criticizing the mayor and chancellor for not including parents in that. Culturally relevant education came up. The Black history curriculum was mentioned. Lou asked about Asian American history. The chancellor promised that would be the next CRE initiative and claimed the DOE would engage families. So stay tuned. So that's the summary of the meeting. And I guess that's the end of my, I do want to actually, I will share one thing for everyone. Again, this is, we were supposed to have this meeting with the planning, the Office of District Planning tonight, and I just wanted to share, I was going to share with them in a tool that I'm going to just use for our benefit as we sort of talk about these issues going forward. This is a map of District 20, obviously, and it shows all of our schools, and the color coding reflects, I guess we're not on the screen anymore, I apologize. Yeah, if you can throw it up there, David, it'd be good. For everyone online and what you're about to see in person, this is just a map of D20 with all the K through 12 schools. The dark red are the most overcrowded schools. There's 3 in our district that are 150% or more of capacity. Orange is between 125 and 150% of capacity. Yellow is between 100 and 125, and then green is 100% or under. And the 3 purple markers on here are the 3 projects under construction right now. So anyway, hopefully this helps guide our conversations going forward. We really do, and we're going to have this at the November meeting. The Office of District Planning will be there, and the School Construction Authority will be there. And we're going to be looking for updates on not just the ongoing projects, but they have 4 proposed projects that don't have sites yet. And so we'll be really focusing in on those and what those are and how those are coming. So, okay, that's all I have. Next up, we have we've added to the agenda. Oh yeah, I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have we're going to read into the minutes the press release on the Gifted and Talented program, and Recording Secretary Vito Labella will have the honors.
Thank you, Steve. So Community Education Council, District 20, condemning Mayor de Blasio and Chancellor Porter's decision to eliminate the Gifted and Talented program without parent input. October 9th, 2021, Brooklyn, New York. The Community Education Council for District 20 strongly condemns Mayor de Blasio and Chancellor Porter's decision to eliminate the existing Gifted and Talented GNT program and replace it with a new program without consulting parents. Our district has 8 GNT programs and a large number of parents who support this program. This decision by the mayor and the chancellor is an intentional and willful disregard of these parents, not to mention the teachers and administrators who are committed to offering an advanced learning option for students with advanced learning abilities. At our meeting on September 14th, the council unanimously passed a resolution requesting the Department of Education engage parents on the topic of GNT reform and meet with the council in a public forum to discuss reforms. This resolution was sent to Deputy Chancellor Wallach on September 24th. We received no response. The council will make every effort to persuade the succeeding mayoral administration to reverse these proposed changes and initiate a process of GNT reform based on stakeholder participation. Thank you.
Thanks, Vito. And now, thanks, Vito. And now we have public speaking. Are there any, Natalia, do we have anyone signed up for public speaking?
So no one has signed up. So if anyone would like, they could just raise their hand or send chat.
Yeah, if there's any members of the public who would like to speak, you can type your name into the chat and we will recognize you. Or anyone in the audience? Okay. Finally, the final item on the agenda is one resolution on remote learning. This is it's a topic we've been discussing a lot. We had a meeting last week purely to discuss the topic. There was a resolution proposed. Talia, can you share that? And we've worked and edited this to a point where we're going to vote on it. And while Natalia is pulling that up, I don't, council members who are online or in person, would any of you like to make any comments on the resolution or remote learning at this point?
Steve.
Recognized.
I believe since I did suggest an edit, I believe that has to be read into the minutes. Yes, it's in here, but I believe we have to speak about it. So I'm just, my edit was that in addition to quarantining a partial closure, classroom shall receive live and synchronous instruction. I added any excused absence. Any student with any excused absence should be able, in my opinion, to be able to Zoom into their classroom with their classmates and have synchronous learning with their teacher, with their classmates, and the city should negotiate with the UFT to make that happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Vito. And Vito, since you are the official sponsor of this, do you want to just outline the resolution, the sort of basically the asks? Huh? You're the official sponsor.
Thank you. I didn't realize I was the only one who signed up. Thank you, everybody. So I have carte blanche, which is, everyone knows that means full blame. Carte blanche, full blame, if anybody ever asks you what that is. So you would like me to read the whole thing, Steve, or just the
Not
asks?
necessary, just the asks, summarize it for those. And then we
Thank
can
you. So the district 20 CEC is asking that the DOE expand the criteria for medical exemption to include those students who permanently reside with a family member or caretaker, or who has one of the listed medical conditions which grant a student a medical exemption. For all medically exempt students, the DOE shall contract with a private provider on online K-12 instruction for the semester starting 2021 and ending December 2021. If the DOE cannot secure a contract with a private provider, the DOE shall use every effort to create an online learning platform with dedicated teachers and high-quality programming equivalent to in-person learning. All students receiving a medical exemption shall remain in this online option through the first semester. The DOE requests from the UFT that all students with an excused absence or quarantining in partial closure classrooms shall receive live synchronous instruction alongside their peers remaining in person. The DOE allows students with demonstrated mental health impairments to choose the remote learning option. And finally, the DOE include remote learning as an option for those pre-K, 3 grade families not currently served by a physical location. Thank you.
Any other comments on the resolution before we vote? Okay, Natalia, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Steve Stowe,
I am strongly in favor of in-person, and I would oppose an open-ended remote learning option. But this one, I think, is the demonstrated cases are narrow enough that I can approve it. So I vote yes.
Jennifer who?
I vote yes.
Elizabeth Chan,
I vote yes.
Vito Labella,
I vote yes.
Marie Brugueras,
I second Steve in that while I'm strongly in favor of in-person, for certain cases that are outlined here, I vote yes.
Gara Amin,
I vote yes.
Li Ping Zhang,
Yes.
Mei Yun Lin, Mei Yun, okay, Mei Yun, we'll come back to you. Maya Rosenblatt,
In favor.
Kevin Zhao,
I vote yes.
Mei Yun Lin,
Yes, I vote yes.
okay. Okay, the resolution passes unanimously.
Great. Is there a motion to the next meeting date? I always forget that. Natalia, what's the next meeting date? November 9th.
Before we adjourn, I have something.
You have something?
Before we adjourn, I open. I want to request.
Add something to the agenda?
Add something. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
actually.
Yeah, go for it. So
Before we adjourn, I'd like to request that our press release be disseminated to all school principals.
Echoing.
And that as an independently elected body, I would like the principals to send out this press release to all their parents and caregivers.
I'm sorry, there is echo.
Sorry, it was echoing. We cannot hear it.
Okay, everyone else has to mute. Again? So I'd like to make a motion to request that the press release that we sent out on Gifted and Talented, that be disseminated to all school principals in District 20, and that they disseminate it further to their parents and caregivers. Can I have a second?
Second it.
All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I,
Okay, the motion passes. So we will now, the next meeting is November 9th. Please join us for our next monthly business and calendar meetings, November 9th. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, please stay tuned for special meetings. We're going to at least have one for the next CEC member. We will get that done as soon as possible, and potentially another special meeting on mayoral control at some point next month or two. So thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Is there a second? All
seconded.
in favor?
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.